This is Eileen. I'm one of the coaches in the group, and this is the educational series just so that we can further your knowledge and education of better food choices. So, in this educational segment, we're going over what's a GMO. And a GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. And what that means is that something living has had its genes modified over what it should have been in its natural state. The things that are genetically modified can be animals, believe it or not, plants, fruits, vegetables, even viruses and bacteria. All of these things have genes. All of these things possibly have the ability to have their genes modified. Why would we have something natural modified? Well, it started out as something actually with good intention. There's areas, for example, that have a hard time growing food. They don't get enough water. They don't get enough sun, or they get too much sun. So they try to create these genetic modifications to withstand nature's problems and to be able to have food no matter what. So the intention was good. But the problem is your body wants and needs and has to have natural food. That's the only thing it recognizes. That's the only thing it uses. When you put in a food that has been genetically modified, it's considered a foreign substance. Your body doesn't want it. Your body can't use it. So what happens if you ingest it, especially over time? Get sick. You start not feeling good. You start not being able to do things that you like to do. And just over time, you get sicker. It's almost like your body starts aging quicker than it should be. And this is a big problem because what we're noticing is that there's more allergies now today. And this is the reason why. And we are more resistant to antibiotics. Did you ever notice when you go to the doctors that whereas you only needed one thing of antibiotics, now you go and that antibiotic didn't work, then you have to go back and get a stronger one or a different one because the GMOs make it so that it's antibiotic resistance. Also, it creates problems with birth defects. It has infertility problems with people and reproductive problems, and it causes cancer. So health-wise, it is just better to be educated in what foods have been genetically modified and stay away from them. How part of it is that it's genetically engineered. They have put in a chemical called glyphosate, and it's a very, very strong chemical that is meant to resist the natural problems, when it's not enough sun and not enough water. And so it was meant to be strong and to be able to grow in these harsh conditions. But the problem is environmentally, it's almost like these are kind of called super weeds because they're very hard to kill because of this chemical that's been put in there. And in order to kill it, you actually have to use an ingredient called 2D4. And what that is that it's actually the main ingredient in Agent Orange. Strong stuff. So it's, again, not only is it strong, but in order to kill it, but you're ingesting and having that in your body. Do you understand, for example, why it's causing cancer? So these are the reasons why we need to stay away from it. However, it's in so many things. It's in cereals, and it's in crackers, and it's in baking mixes, like, the boxed mixes. This is why, if you're going to bake, use clean ingredients to bake. If you're using the mixes, even the pancake mixes, really everything down the middle aisles. We're even talking about even veggie burgers. Veggie burgers, people eat those to be healthy. They're loaded with GMOs. And also milk and cheese and just different things that, corn's a big one that's loaded with it. Alfalfa, canola oil. I mean, there's so many things that people use, and there's ingredients in there that you're consuming every day. They're mainly down the middle portions of the aisles of the store, which is why we typically tell you when you're shopping, shop around the perimeter. That's more of the natural products. That's the fruits, the veggies, the meats, the eggs, things like that. But even with that, you even have to be careful. You have to read the labels. You want things that are grass-fed or cage-free, things like that. You constantly have to read the labels because you can't assume that anything is natural. You have to stick with the organic, stick with the local fruits and veggies. That's what nature intended. However, I know what you're probably saying. For example, with the meat. In order to say, okay, I get that grass-fed beef, for example, is healthier than a regular piece of meat that you're going to buy because that livestock has been fed corn and soybeans that have been genetically modified. So if the livestock is ingesting that as their source of food, then we turn around and we eat it and we're ingesting it, so we're eating it too. That's why the grass-fed stuff is better. But the problem is, I know, it's more expensive. There's trade-offs. And unfortunately, you're going to have to choose this. And this is the purpose of this type of an educational series. It's to make you aware. We're not telling you this is what you have to do. It's what you're becoming aware of, and you get to make these choices. Maybe eat clean 80% of the time, and the other 20% of the time you have to make different other choices because it does get to be expensive. If you had, a perfect world, you would buy everything that is just clean eating. But realistically, with a family of a couple of kids, sometimes it gets difficult. So there's choices to make, but sometimes there's better choices to make than others. It still comes down to reading labels and the ingredients, knowing where it came from, and at least you're aware. Because sometimes what happens, people say, I never had an allergy before. Wonder why all of a sudden my allergies just started. I don't understand. Think about what you're putting into your body. Again, the GMO type of foods, allergies, they're creating more allergies than ever, and a lot of other type of problems. But it comes down to, if you can, give your body what it wants. That's eating clean, that's eating more of the fruits and the vegetables, the organic, grass-fed meat and type things like that. So it's about education. Education, you get better choices. Better choices, just helps with everything. So hope this helps. If you have any other questions, leave some comments below. There is so much to cover in a series like this that I often have to do a generalized type of explanation, but I will give more of a specific type of answer if you have a question beyond what I've covered in the video. Hope this helps. See ya.